Hello and welcome, everybody. I am so excited to have you here today. I don't know where everybody is located. I would love to see if any of you are in Florida, and if you have gotten that snow that North Florida has gotten. The last time I've seen anything like this, I think I was around 19 years old. But today I'm really excited to have Mark from Trace Technologies here. I'm a huge fan of their product. I love the fact that they have made so many great feature enhancements over the last 6 months, and they're continuing to move along. I know that we all have a lot of choices inside of this industry for CRMs, but I will say the one thing that I do love about Trace Technologies is they really own the back office space. For agency owners who really need a robust back office, hands down, nobody can beat Trace Technologies in this area. And for all of those solo advisors who want all of those bells and whistles and email automations and things of that nature, they have a lot of great tools, a lot of great features that they have been rolling out. So just as a reminder, we are recording this call. We will put it on our YouTube channel within the next day or so. So if you have any questions, you can go back and review the recording. And I don't have any new announcements for you guys today, other than to say that we are working on the annual update of all of the agreements. So you should be receiving some notifications here within the next few weeks, hopefully in a few weeks, depending on how many changes are happening. Oh, I do have one other announcement. We are very close to launching the ability to sell single purchase products. So as soon as that happens, and hopefully that's within the next couple of weeks, we will be offering up group travel contract bundles and followed by destination wedding contract bundles. And then for all of you Canadian advisors, we will slowly start adding some additional product for you as well. So I am going to let Mark introduce himself and go ahead and take this away. So welcome, Mark. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Sheila. We're very excited about working with Travel Industry Solutions, and you have a wonderful product. You mentioned your Canadian clients. I have good news for any Canadian clients that are on the call today. We are testing the Canadian version. So look for that in sometime in 2025 to be launched. So I know there's a lot of people that were anxiously awaiting that. So that's exciting news. And what I wanted to do today, Sheila, is I wanted to kind of take everybody through an overview of the product because, like you said, I mean, we started doing this probably 2.5 years ago. And I mean, I've been here, it'll be 2 years in February. So just from my 2 years, it's amazing what we've done and what we have coming down the pike. So what I was going to do is I'm sharing my screen with you, and if it's okay with you and your listeners, I would love to take you through the product. And then I've planned on stopping a couple of different times in the time that we have just to ask questions. Is that okay?
Wonderful. Yeah. And so for
Okay.
anybody that has any questions, go ahead and put them in the chat. And if your question is a little bit more in depth, just raise your hand and then we'll have you unmute yourself and ask that question at the appropriate time. So absolutely, I want everybody to engage. And if you need Mark to slow down and go back over a particular feature, please just indicate that and let us know.
Perfect. So I am sharing my screen. So the first thing I want to tell you about Trace Technologies, I know that some of you may be new to the system, you've never seen it, and then there may be some of you that have used trams and client base you currently are using or you've used it in the past. So if you hear me mention client base or trams, that's because I'm just trying any comparison that I can do. I'm going to mention that as well. So just keep in mind too that if you guys want a more in-depth conversation about this, we can do a one-on-one demonstration. Teresa Giacalone, Bill Truk, or myself, Mark, you just email sales@tracetechnologies.com and we will be happy to, you can schedule an appointment on our Calendly tool. So let me get started here. So again, this is a cloud-based system and you want to think about it as this. I can access this anytime I want to, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. This is will interface with all of the GDS systems. It currently interfaces with Sabre, Travelport Plus, and Amadeus. And we'll touch on that today, but we won't go into a lot of detail. But again, you can talk to us about a one-on-one demo. So I can log in with my password, or if you're Microsoft 365 or Outlook, you can log in with the single sign-on, which is a nice feature. And then when you log into the system, everyone, you're going to see the dashboard. So, a lot of times if you, we always say that Trips is the heartbeat of Trace. If Trips is the heartbeat of Trace, then you're welcome to the nerve center. So you have, when you log into the system, you have the ability to see at a snap everything that's going on in your system. You can customize these dates. You can look at it in two different ways. Think about the my as my advisor, my independent contractor. Think about the agency as the administrator. So the agency will be able to see everything. The my, you'll be able to see your individual business. Why this is important for me to distinguish the two is I would say 80% of our calls, the person that we're talking to, that's the admin, also sells travel. So you can look at this in two different ways, an overview of your agency or individually. On these screens, you can see I have departures. I can see all of my departures and returns. Bless you. You have events, you have action items, which I'll talk about a little bit later. And then you can also see your deposits and final payments. And we can click directly into these and go to the reservation. Also, we all want to know how much money we've got coming in, right? So again, it's a snap. You can see it at any moment in time, just by hovering over the bars. I can see my cruise sales and my cruise commissions. I can see my projected sales. So I can see based on what we have trip statements for, I can see all of that monies that is coming in to my agency.
I
So
love that. I'm sorry,
yes.
Mark. I didn't
No,
mean
no, go
to
ahead.
interject, but some of the things that we talk about in TIS is about understanding your cash flow. And so this is an amazing feature so that there is no manual work involved. I used to do a lot of manual forecasting when I had IC. So thank you for doing this. And I
You're
also know
welcome.
that the agency view versus the my view is really critical. And I love the way that you do have it demonstrated in such a great visual way. So thank you so much for doing that.
You're welcome. And Sheila, just for future reference, this will be customizable too. So if you want your top 10 clients, your top 10 suppliers, and your top 10 advisors in another place, we get probably toward the back half of the year. The plan is it's technology, but the plan is that it will be available to you as well. So not only will you have this, you can customize it. So one of the features that I really want to point out first before we dig into a trip is our quick add, because the quick add, you've got two types of advisors in a lot of situations. You've got one that just wants to get the information into the system and they don't need any detail. And then you've got others who, they may be putting something into the system quickly, and then they can go back in and they can add those details later. You're able to do this. You can link your client, your supplier, put in your relevant information, click Save and Next, and you've created a reservation. And
Oh my
inside that,
gosh. I
yes, yes,
love that.
that is cool. And I really like that too. And I'll show you when we get inside of a trip how easy it is to move that reservation too. So, I always think of things in scenarios. So think I have a full trip and then my client calls and says, we're going to spend an extra day here. So if I just need to add a hotel to the reservation, I can use my quick add. I can go into that reservation and I can move that into their trip. So again, the possibilities are endless, in my opinion, with the quick add. You can also do that for your client and your traveler. So if I'm capturing some information, somebody's calling me on the phone, I can capture that information. And believe it or not, Sheila, not only does this create a client, but it also creates the traveler as well. So all I have to do is go in and put the information in. So it's a very, I really think that this, and it's right on your dashboard, so you can use it at any time. For those of you who've had client base and trams, you'll be familiar with Live Connect. Well, now we have a tool called Direct Connect, so you can see that here as well. We have more and
Explain
more.
that, please,
Sure,
Mark, because a lot
absolutely.
of people don't know what that means, and I know the power of this feature, but
Sure.
many people don't understand that, and it's not available in all CRMs.
Okay. What this is this is an import feature. So if I'm booking, any of these providers have a direct link to that to import information into our system. So if I click on, say, Delta Vacations, the Delta Vacations screen will open. I will log into the Delta Vacations and I will import the information into the reservation. And not only will it import the reservation not only will it import the trip into a reservation, it'll also break out all of what we call sub reservations. So your air, your car, your hotel, any tour segments that you have will also be broken out within that reservation. So talk about not hand keying. That's one of the main things that I hear every day is, give me more ways to less hand key. This is a great
Yes.
one. Yes. And we have some very popular people in here. We've got Classic Vacations, we've got Delta Vacations, we've got Pleasant Holidays, we've got, for those of you who are Signature, we are testing the Signature tools. We have the insurance, and we have, which seems to be a real popular one, Sheila, is Vax Vacations, because it's like FunJet,
Yep.
um, Apple Leisure Group. A lot of people do their air through Apple Leisure Group. So, and they do air only. So you can pull those air reservations right into there. We also work with, um, shoot,
Centra.
Centrap, which is Consolidator Air. So,
Yep.
and you'll see more and more of these coming on board. For those of you who um, need any kind of help or assistance while you're in the system, we have a walkthrough tool. So if I click on, say, add tag to a trip, it's going to take me there, and it's going to take me step by step on how to add a tag inside of a trip. So it's going to walk me through step by step. We've got a new user checklist. This is a brand new feature. So you can check off things that you've done in the system. Like, for instance, it says, I need to create an action plan. So if I don't create an action plan in a certain amount of time, it's going to give me a pop-up window that says, would you like to try to create an action plan? So it's kind of a self-guided checklist to teach you about the system while you're working in it. And it's brand new. It just came out last week. So we also have a training and implementation team who will help you uh, help you with the system, to help you get set up and to help you with, onboarding. We have all different types of trainings that we're working on. In February, we'll be announcing lots of live trainings that you can sign up for. If you aren't signed up for our newsletter, you might do that. We won't bombard your box because we
Yep.
know that, and it's always good, relevant information, and it's maybe once or twice a month. So you'll hear about that on there. So the other thing I want to talk about before we go to our first set of questions is the new traveler form. So we have a form that you can send directly to your clients, and you can see my form that I pulled up has my agency name, my phone number, my email, my logo, and my client can just enter in all of this information, and they can enter in their credit card, their loyalty card. They can have their passport. Believe it or not, they can drag and drop. I was very excited about this, being an advisor for and a manager for 15 years. They can drag and drop the passport right here.
Which
So
is huge. It is very
it's
huge,
very huge. Yes.
and it is secure, and so that's a great thing. I want to kind of step ahead a little bit. I know you
Sure.
said you get the traveler form, and you haven't scrolled down all the way. Oh, okay, there it is. Add another
Yep.
traveler. I just
You can
answered
add,
my own
right.
question.
Yes, you can add as many travelers as you want to. So if this is a multi-generational family, you can do it that way. If it's a group, you could do it that way. What I think is a good idea is, like, if you have a whole family that's traveling, send one to each family, because this builds a client and the traveler. So you don't have to do any hand keying of another client or traveler ever. So once you submit that, it goes into the system, and you'll get an email notification letting you know that you have a new client traveler form. I mean, how easy is that? It's
Yeah.
very exciting, all the different automation tools. So before I go any further, does anybody have any questions, Sheila?
Sorry about that. My phone just went off, and
That's
it's my
okay.
daughter, and she's on one of the emergency contacts, where it rings
Oh yeah.
even if it's on silent. So it startled me a little bit. I don't have any questions, and I don't know if anybody else has any questions. However, what I do like is it seems even since we last spoke, and I know we went over a few things, and I've been on the Trace system since the very beginning. So it's really exciting to see the iterations and the incredible improvements over the last couple of years. But what I really appreciate is the flexibility. I think that the flexibility is really key rather than having forced pathways, because we all operate a little bit differently.
Mhm.
So I really appreciate that. And I love what you guys are doing.
Well, thank you. We appreciate it. It is, you'll find by the time we're through today, hopefully, that this is kind of a 360. It's pretty much a 360 tool. You can use it from the start, as you can see, from the time you collect your traveler information all the way until we actually have a client itinerary app that I'm gonna briefly review with you too. So just to quickly go inside of a trip, we're going to go inside of a trip. So I have collected my traveler information. I have all the information, all the armor I need in order to build a trip. I add a trip, and when I add a trip, I can see that I've got my start and end date. I can add destinations. I can add tags. So think about your tags as data that you want to search for in the system. Example would be, who's allergic to peanuts? Who's allergic to dairy? I can search that. Who's a VIP client? Who I can add who flies first class versus premium economy. Take it to the supplier level. If you have air contracts, you can make a tag that says air contracts, so you can search all the airlines that you have air contracts for. So, I mean, unlimited what you can do with tags. All my travelers are linked. My reservations are linked. I've either pulled those through one of my GDSs, I have pulled it through Direct Connect, or I have put the information in manually. But what I will say, Sheila, is that throughout 2025, you guys are going to see lots of AI enhancements that are going to help you pull in your reservations without having to do any hand keying. It's going to auto populate because you're going to have a little field right here. You're going to be able to drag and drop it and it will populate it in the system. So be on the lookout for that, because as as a former advisor and a manager, I know that that's what people want. No hand keying, no hand keying. So that's what we're working on. So, and if I look inside the reservation, I can do hotel categories, but I can also take it a step further now. I can do categories, but I can also do boutique, private, luxury. I can add any kind of subcategory that I want. I can put in the supply. I have the supplier. I have my totals. We have foreign currency, so I can do this in foreign currency. I can see my balances, so I can see that I paid a $500 deposit, and I owe 48,000. I owe 50,000, and then the supplier balance is 48,780. Why are those different, Mark? Because that's the commission. So you can always see exactly what they owe versus the commission. I can put in all of my details.
Can I ask you a real quick question, Mark,
Absolutely.
about the
Yes.
foreign
Yes.
currency, please?
Sure.
So if I choose euros, right, for
Mhm.
that particular customer, when you aggregate sales in the dashboard, right, sales and commission, are
Yep.
you aggregating that dollar figure as a USD or as euros, or are you converting it? Can you explain that to me? And I don't know if you have the answer to that, but I like the fact that you do have the foreign currency, because we do have clients who are paying in foreign currency, but I'd like to know how that information is aggregated in our reports.
Okay, how it's aggregated in your reports, because right now, Sheila, this is um, manual. So if it's $1.05, you're going to put that amount in here. And then when you do that, it's going to calculate it, but it does it in USD, because it's all, not only is it going to calculate it in, it's going to calculate it in US dollars, but then you can put in your percentage here, whatever the conversion rate is, and it'll turn that into foreign currency. But on the dashboard currently, it's going to aggregate it to US dollars.
Okay, thank
Yep.
you.
But let me tell you about an enhancement that's coming. This is not, this you have to put the dollar amount in, but probably I think in the second quarter, it will automatically calculate for you. So it'll be connected to a system that is in real time. So if you take a deposit for, and it's the euro rate is $1.05, and then you take another deposit and it's $1.12, it's going to be very accurate. So it's not going to be an average, it's going to be the actual amounts, which will make it even better. But that is a good suggestion, though, to be able to look it up in foreign currency as well. Um, and I will, if I find out that there's anything else, I'll definitely let you know. I can see my travelers, I can see my advisors, but the one thing that I want to show you is I know a lot of agencies have been saying that they get an invoice, they get a request for an invoice so they can pay the agency commission. I'm sure you probably heard that recently. You can now, this now auto generates an invoice for commission for every single entry that you put in the reservations. And you can send this directly to your the person who sent it to you, so they can collect the information. You can even add your commission remittance totals here.
That's great.
Yep. And then if we go to, I can, okay. Also, what I can do is I can, I'm trying to switch screens here. There it is. Okay, so also with this, you can see I've got my action items. So within the action items, I can, you want to think about your action items as with these things in mind. They're dynamic, meaning that if the trip dates change, my action plans change as well. They're automated and they include an email signature. So this is a great tool. They're automated. So again, I can stay on one screen throughout the planning process and never leave this and really I can complete a lot of future components for my trips because we have that automated feature. I have activities, so any appointments or
Mark,
tasks.
Mark, can
Yes,
I
ma'am.
get you
Yes,
guys to can I get you to go back to action items? This is the one
absolutely.
thing that I feel like is a disconnect and it's confusing
Uh-huh.
because of the name action items. Because most people think of this as tasks and workflows. And so I want to try to connect the dots for the people that are on the call as to what you mean by action items and giving an example of that. It is the one thing that I've always felt like is there's a disconnect in the
Sure.
naming and then the comprehension of the agent.
Absolutely. So with an action item, you can think about them as like an action series. It's almost like a sequence of events, Sheila. So, like, I'll give you an example. The best example that I can think of just off the top of my head would be like a Disney booking. So, you book Disney, you've got a deposit that's due, you've got a final payment, you've got a date that I need to make dining reservations, you've got a date that I need to, I can get my magic passes or my magic bands or anything like that. So that is the series of action items. So if I quickly go over to um, my settings and I'll show you how they're set up. I'm diverting a little bit here, but I think it's important since this is a disconnect. I can come over here and then I can go in and I can see insurance follow up. So, there's a series of things that I do in order to make sure, because what does my client want at the end of the day? They want to be able to get the 14-day pre existing condition, right? So I can say 1 day, 15 days, or 1 day after I book the trip, I can say I want to make sure I send out my insurance proposal. So I set up a series of triggers, earliest booking date, and then the variance is 1 day after travel. I can set that up and I can even assign that for somebody to complete. Then I've got after 5 days, a pre existing reminder. Then after 7 days,
Okay, so it's a
yeah,
combination of
yes,
reminders for yourself and email automations for your customer. And you could
correct.
create an entire action plan around a specific topic or an entire trip or a product
Hmm.
like a cruise. Okay. Just want
Yep.
to provide
No,
some
no, no.
clarity so that
Yeah.
everybody knows
It, it's
how
a
to
very,
connect the dots there.
right, and it's a very, I think it's a tool that if people thank you for asking because I think it's a tool if people really understood and they put it into practice, they wouldn't do a trip without them because it's going to make those reminders for you all the time. So it's good. It's actually one of the better tools in the system. And
Mhm.
then you've got all of your attachments and links. So I can do all of my attachments and links. I can make payments. I can record my payments in the system as an advisor. I can also send an add payment authorization. So I just did one. So I sent this to my client. And when I sent it to my client, I got an authorization in my email that says trip authorization received. And then that the trip authorization went to my client. When it goes out to my client, what my client's going to see is they're going to fill out their credit card information.
Mhm.
and they're going to put in their CVV code. Sheila, in order for us to remain PCI compliant, when they put in that CVV code, it will stay in our trace system for 7 days at a time. So you won't have to worry about that because you will have that in your system. And here's what it looks like when your client sends it to you. This is a payment authorization. So you can see it has all of the relevant information that you need. I can copy and paste this information. From here, I need to re-authenticate. And then once I re-authenticate, I can copy and paste that information into right here. So I'm not writing that information down. And
I
right
have a
here is my CVV code.
Okay,
Yes?
well, I have a couple of things. So actually, you guys
Sure.
use the same vaulting company as me. And so
Hmm.
I've asked them about that. They said
Okay.
this is actually a system decision. It's not a PCI decision because our
Okay.
length is longer. So it's just that this is a way to securely collect credit card information. I don't, they have told me that there is a use case for keeping it until after the traveler finishes their trip. But I, as the owner, am personally not comfortable with that. So we do have our length set a little bit longer. But what I do want to ask you is if you go back to the screen where the customer can enter in their credit card details, is there a way to customize any of the language on that screen so that people can say, by making payment here, you're accepting our terms and conditions, blah, 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 that type of thing.
There
They would have,
would,
yeah,
go
they
ahead,
would have to
Tracy.
add that, they would have to add that in themselves, but we are coming out with a different, a document acknowledgement form that they could be able to fill in. With regards to the credit card, we don't store our credit cards ourselves. So we're using
Yep.
TokenX. So TokenX is asking us to, and they won't store it more than 7 days. The CVV code is 7 days. And even
Yeah,
before
yeah,
that.
we use the same company, Teresa. Yeah.
Well, I mean, if we're putting it in the database and you may be a different size company for it, but they will remove it themselves. We don't even have a choice. They actually take it out of the database. So if
Oh,
it's
we're not storing anything on our side.
if
Yeah.
that's why the 7 days is the storage. So
Oh, yeah, we
that's
don't
why.
store. Yep.
Yeah, if you're storing so TokenX will allow you to pass it through, but we're holding it in the database, and that's why it's only 7 days. There's also, if everyone is on this call, also ASTA is also promoting not to store your CVV codes in your database at all because it could put your E&O insurance at peril as well.
Yeah, I don't think that anybody should store it in their own database unless your company is set up to properly do that. And a lot of them,
Well, you have to be a level one.
yeah,
You have to be a level one PCI compliance, which means you're also subjected to at least every 6 months audits. So
yeah, yeah.
it's a pretty extensive policy.
So
Thank you for
the
that,
point is
Teresa.
that you will be able to add some language at a future date and time.
Yeah, under a
Yes,
different.
we will be, yes,
Yeah.
yes, definitely. And then we also have, Sheila, after you record the payment, you can look at your trip statement. So you can look at the trip statement, you can see all the detail lives in the trip statement, and then your client can see all of the payments that they've made and when their deposits and final payments are due. This is more customizable in the fact that I can take the fare and the balance away and just show them a total of the trip if I want to. So we have that feature as well. And think about it this way, guys, you are not using trip in our invoices, you're using trip numbers. And the reason why you're using trip numbers is because, like you said at the first of the call, everything lives in one system. So the trip number is trackable from start until infinity as long as you have the system in place. And this number right here, we do work with Travefy and Access. And this is what you will use to interface into the Travefy application and the Access app too. It's part of our partnership. We also have email templates. So you can customize any kind of email templates. And these are also automated. So I can add any kind of, I can also have merge fields here. So if I click preview, you can see it says Dear Trip client name. When I click preview, it fills that out for me. I can also add my email signature inside of settings. And then I have images. Why do you have images, Mark? Because I have a client itinerary app that has been being built for me in the background while I have been building this trip for my client. So my client can get this on their mobile device. We can send it to them on the desktop. And I just copy the link and I paste it. I copy the link and I send it to my client, and then they can click here. This will be the desktop version, and you can see I've got all of my photos. I've got all of my attachments for my upcoming trip. I've got all of my details
So,
inside of each
wait a
booking.
second. So
Yeah.
as I'm adding these attachments inside of my trip record, it's
Yeah.
populating for me, like the client, version, it's populating for me in my,
Yes. Yes, it
oh
is.
my gosh, that's
Yes.
amazing.
Yes. Yes. It's a nice tool. I mean, it's excellent. And I mean, this is really just the beginning of this tool. I mean, eventually it will do proposals. It'll be part of a proposal process.
Mhm.
There's lots and lots of things that are coming, but right now this tool is fully functional. I mean, I can add photographs of the hotel. It is connected to Google Maps. I can click here, and if I want to walk to a restaurant, I can put the restaurant address in, and I won't get lost. If I'm in Japan and everything is in Japanese, and I want to get back to my hotel, it will do that for me as well.
Let me
So,
ask you if you have a
absolutely.
feature or if it's on the docket to do like live flight updates and things of that nature.
We will have live flight updates in the future,
Okay.
probably toward the back half of this year, but we will have that. We are working on that. We're also working with some crews pulling in that itinerary. And then, like I said to you earlier, eventually we'll also have an AI feature that you can drag and drop your PDFs into the reservations, and it will populate that information for you too. So that's all coming hopefully by the end of this year.
So I have one other question, and
Absolutely.
that's related to payments and itineraries and clients in general. Are you guys requiring clients to set up an account in order to log in and make a payment or to view an itinerary?
No, this is a
Good.
progressive web app. So what that means is when I get this link and I pull it up on my phone, I
Mm-hmm.
can save this. And when I save it, do you see right
Mm-hmm.
here on my phone on the bottom row, number
Yep.
4 is a world. When I click on that because I've saved it, then my itinerary tool will pull up, and you can see I have my photo as the advisor, all of my contact information, and when I click, not only does the itinerary that I'm working on show up, but the itineraries from past and future are also on here.
Okay. Can
Okay.
you hide itineraries? Let's say um you've sent the quote and you've sent the itinerary link in the beautiful app, and then the client decides not to move forward. Are you able to hide it so that the client, for those clients who would take it and shop it around?
Teresa, I know is that coming, or
No,
can
no,
you
it's
do
there
that
already.
now?
So if you go into the
Okay.
itinerary now
Mhm.
and you
Mhm.
click on the client itinerary, you see how it says viewable by client?
Oh,
You just
okay,
uncheck
yeah.
the box. Yes,
Uncheck
Okay,
yes,
the
I've got it.
box.
wonderful.
Yes.
Once you hit save,
Yeah,
so you'll notice that there's a little button, dot next to that client itinerary. It's gone now.
wonderful. And
So
I
now,
love that you guys aren't creating a friction point for clients. I know that so many advisors don't like that friction point. And sometimes when we have people who are clients that are challenged with technology, it just makes it so incredibly difficult. So thank you for not creating a friction point for the client.
Thank you. You're welcome. Now, does anybody have any questions, Sheila, or are we so good to keep moving?
I think we're still good to keep moving. We've had a few new people join the call. So you guys,
Okay.
if you have any questions, put it in the chat. If your question is long and you want to ask Mark, just raise your hand or let us know, and you can unmute yourself and ask questions, and Mark can go back over a feature or talk to you about maybe other feature enhancements if they don't have it currently. But I can tell you that they're moving pretty quickly now on a lot of the build. It's the quickest I've seen in a long time, and I'm just so thrilled with all of the enhancements. I just can't even believe it.
It is pretty amazing. And it is pretty amazing how fast and it's going and how good it is. So we will let's talk a little bit about we've talked about a trip, we've talked about our client itinerary app, we've talked about the dashboard, how it's a moment in time. We have talked about the features that is for the leisure part of the trip. Now let's take it to maybe a little bit of the back office. And Sheila, what I plan to do, because we've got about 5 to 8 minutes here, I was going to just kind of take you through just some of the features. We have advisor pay reconciliation. So this, you can do all of your advisor pay reconciliations in here. We've got the IAR reconciliation report. So I can actually go into my IAR reconciliation report, open up my ARC website, and drag and drop my BOS file here. When I do that, it auto populates into here. And if there's any exceptions, they will show here. I will click on the ticket number, be able to fix those exceptions, and I'm done for the week or for the day with that report. I've also got a commission pay reconciliation. This is worth going inside. You've got, say, Onyx, and we've got a bill that commission payments that came in from Onyx. Again, drag and drop. I can drag and drop the file here. When I drag and drop the file, I can see my commissions amount that have paid. So we know that commissions are right, what, Sheila, 2% of the time? They're always off.
They're
So
always off. And I'll tell you,
right.
I am still a hosted advisor, and I have to make sure it is down to the penny in order to get paid. If it's like 2 cents off or 3 cents off or whatever. And I have been with a host prior to that where I could pull in reports and it would reconcile it and, flag a couple of things. So the reconciliation reports, I think, are really great. So you can just run a quick old report.
Yep, they're great. Okay, so here, if my commission came in at 71.61, but I have 75 as my commission, I have the ability to right here, click here and update that commission amount. So not only can I update it here, but because of the way the system is, it will update everywhere throughout the system. So it'll update under supplier, it'll update the client, it'll update the commission for the advisors. Every single thing, it will go ahead and correct here. So it's kind of one-stop shopping when it comes to reconciliation. We currently use Onyx and Paymode, and throughout 2025, you'll see other payment houses that'll be added to this as well. We've also got our agency credit card reconciliation. So I can reconcile my payments that have been received on my agency credit card. I also have under bank management, I've got deposits and withdrawals. I can record my deposit transactions and my withdrawal transactions. I've got bank registry. I can enter and track bank transactions. And I've got bank reconciliation. So I can clear and reconcile all of my accounts inside of Trace.
This is amazing, you guys.
Yes.
I mean, For anybody on the call, I don't know how big your agencies are, or if you have plans to grow your agency and add ICs. You know, I always say almost every day, time is money, and every click is a lost opportunity to make money. If it's not an efficient process. And this, guys, this is really unbelievably powerful. I know that we have a lot of other really great tools in our industry that are feel a little bit simpler to use and to get up, to get started a little bit easier. However, if you really want a tool that is going to be not incredibly robust, but it is going to grow with you inside of your agency, I really think that you should consider looking at Trace, scheduling a call with one of their team members. I'm not trying to sound really pushy, guys, on this. I mean, I just think back to my earlier days when I started my agency and I wasn't quite sure where I was going to take my business. And then all of a sudden I grew really big and I had ICs. And I wish that I had had a tool like this. I had talked to Teresa way back when I started my agency. This is before Trace ever existed, and there was client base in Trams, but I'm on a Mac, and so it really wasn't ideal for me. So I was really excited once they started building this cloud-based iteration of the best of still the leading product in the market, and now moving it into the next century. Sorry to go on like that, Mark, but
No, thank
I
you. It's like a
just
built-in reference. I appreciate we all appreciate it. We are all very enthusiastic about the product as well. It's it always comes to my brain that it's a 360 and it really truly is a 360 product. But thank you. And then we just got a couple more things I want to show you. And one of those is like your journal entries or your general ledger. You can, track things by date. You've got your general ledger account numbers. You can add a journal entry here, and it's a matter of adding a row, entering in that information and clicking save. We will work with you with the training and implementation team to help you with this part through with everything in the program, but to really help you get started and to make sure that when you start using the system, that your general ledger and bank management is ready to go by making sure you have the correct beginning balance and things like that. And then finally,
and Mark,
go ahead.
Mark and Teresa, we're going to end the call, not right now, but in a few minutes. Once we end the call, I'd really like for you guys to just stay on the call and talk to me for a few minutes. I want to go over a new feature that we've added inside of TIS, and it relates to this banking. Before I forget, I just wanted to mention that. And so we have about 10 more minutes to cover some more topics on Trace. And so if you guys have any questions, make sure you get them in that chat. And sorry to interrupt. I'll let you just go ahead and continue.
No worries at all. So we've got reporting, and you can look at our reporting in two different ways. We've got trace defined reporting, and then we've got user defined reporting. And in the future, this will go through just like anything else. People ask me all day long, when will your system be finished? And the answer is never. Because if we don't keep technology moves so fast that we're constantly having to update and redo. So you'll never see where we get to a certain point and we say we're finished. This is always going to be under development. And, trying it now is almost a bonus because when you do have feedback and you do have information, because, a lot of people are testing the product and we have some people that have gone through conversions. When they give us feedback and it's global feedback that everybody wants to use, then you'll see that reflected almost in 4 to 6 weeks, because we have many developers who are working behind the scenes, and we do releases every 2 weeks, full releases of new enhancements. So it's a very exciting time to be in the program because it's constantly changing. So we have our advisor statement, client statement, supplier statement that is already in the system. We have our general ledger accounts that you can search. I'll show you our advisor statement. And if you go to the advisor statement, as an advisor, you will only be able to see yours, but as an admin, you'll be able to see everyone's. So I can put in a date range here. Oops, sorry about that. Okay, and then I can click search. And then when I do that, you can see all of my commissions that have paid are right here. And then also at the bottom, when you have adjustments, you can also add adjustments to this. So if my commission is $2,751.40 and I had 2 packages that were sent out FedEx because the office gets a better discount than I would, then you can add that adjustment to the bottom here. So it would say 2751 minus adjustment of packaging, $100, 2651.40, which I think is a really nice feature as well. And then also with reporting, we have, remember I talked earlier about trips being the heartbeat of the system. So let's go to here and I'll show you some things about reports. You can look at reports in 2 ways. You can look at them as a table view, or you can look at them as a report view. So a table view is just, you can see it's just static information. It's just everything that I asked for in that report. But I want to dig a little deeper and I want to go look at a report and I want to see detailed information. I can do this and I can see a little bit more detail. I can also customize these columns. So if I say I want to see this report, but I want to add a column and I want that column to be advisor, I can do that right here. And when I click that, I can click apply and then I can click search and I've updated my report. Also with reporting, I have under the column customization, I have predefined reports. So not only can you build your own custom reports, but reports that we see that are reports that people build a lot. These are going to be predefined reports. So these will live here and you will have access to those reports and it will be your information that is obviously is pulled from it. But we will have a whole library of report. We have some already, but we will have a complete library eventually of reports that you can just come over here, click apply and click search and it's going to give you that report right away. So that's definitely a nice feature too. So Sheila, just in closing, I wanted to just remind everybody that inside of Trace, there's lots of training, self-taught opportunities in here. We have Guide Me. So if I go to enter in a new traveler, I can hit the Guide Me button. And when I click the Guide Me button, it's going to take me to everything that I need to fill out in order to save that, in order to complete that traveler profile. We've got Smart Tips. Remember the gray circle, gray circle with the question mark in the middle? That's a Smart Tip. That'll tell you what you're looking at. We've got the new user checklist, which we went through. We also have knowledge base. We've got for those of you, whether you're new to the system or not, we have a Trace Talks that you will have access to. Like with Sheila's database of recordings, we also have a set of our recordings. It's 30-minute learnings, 20 minutes of learning, 10 minutes of questions that you have access to. We've got a user Facebook group that recently has really picked up a lot of steam and there's a lot of questions. So I encourage you to join that as well. And then we have our training and implementation specialists who, once you decide you want to test the product and then you want to eventually convert, they'll kind of help you through that process and do trainings with your admins and your advisors and things like that. And then don't forget what sets us, there's a lot of things that set us apart, but I think one of the most important things that set us apart is we have a full staff of support team. They're available from 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Monday through Friday. And it's as simple as emailing support@tracetechnologies.com, and they will get right back to you, usually in the same day. And then I think that I know that Teresa's on the call, and I think that Bill is on the call too. Bill, Teresa, or myself are always happy to do as many sales demos as you need. And you can reach us at sales@tracetechnologies.com. So thank you, Sheila.
Thank you. I know, Danny, that we did have a free trial offer through TIS. And oh gosh, Teresa, we really have got to update your page because it is outdated. But
Yeah,
the question
Danny,
is,
just email sales at Trace Technologies, and we'll certainly give you a free trial. And anybody else that's on the call, we certainly allow you to test out the product before you start paying it. So yeah.
great. Danny, I hope you heard that, sales@tracetechnologies.com. I did include the link to their pricing. And if anybody else does not, if nobody has any questions, I just want to say thank you so much for joining us. Again, this is being recorded and we will place it into our library. If you have any questions and you have, and you want to reach out to our team and we can direct you to the right team at Trace, that's fine as well. But for now, I'm going to let everybody get on with the rest of their day. Thank you so much to the Trace team for being here today. Again, you know how much I love your product. So I'm going to let everybody jump off the call and get on with their day. And we'll see you next time, guys.